and good afternoon. Welcome to the Vancouver Aquarium. Welcome to Beluga Habitat. Good for you. You're protecting yourself in the splash zone. I do like it. I'm very excited. It's 4 o'clock. Time for the 4 o'clock Beluga Show. Welcome to the Beluga Show. Are you excited?
Yay!
Very exciting that you are so very excited. Allow me to introduce you to our star-studded cast inside the habitat. We're joined by some amazing trainers in the back. Kristen leading the pack. Big smile. Very nice. Followed closely by Paula. Followed closely by Indy. Indy, there you go. And we're joined by Phil, who's not invisible. There he is up front. Now, we do have to pause here for a second because it's a very special day. Today is Indy's birthday. Indy, you're turning 25?
Yay!
25? Something like that? All right, so I thought we should all sing
huge
happy birthday to
birthday
Indy before we go any further, all right? I want everyone to sing along with me. Here we go. 1, 2, 3. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Indy. Happy birthday to you! And he actually shaved his face today. I don't know if that's a midlife crisis thing. I'm not sure. Alright, so we're joined by 4 amazing beluga whales. Let's get serious now. Over in front we got Kavna. Kavna's the eldest and most blubberous beluga inside the habitat. Joined by Aurora in the center, working with Kristen, giving you a wave. Very nice.
Aww.
We're joined by Keela right here as well, Aurora's daughter. So, Keela, yeah, hey, that's you. She's 16 years old, the first beluga to be conceived and born in a facility in Canada. Now, I'm curious, I want to get to know my audience a little bit. You see,
she gave me a kiss
for the first time today. Anyone? Alright, lots of you. I'm not gonna lie, I'm not totally surprised. Belugas aren't usually found in heavily populated areas, yet despite the fact that belugas are not found in your backyard, your life is intimately connected with these animals, and I do mean more than the fact that you see their amazing appendages here at the Vancouver Aquarium. It's much more elaborate than that, and we're gonna get started on that right now. So, for to say what area of the world do belugas live in, what would your answer be? Arctic, very good. Predominant beluga populations do live in the Arctic Circle. What other animals live in the Arctic? Polar bears. Penguins and stuff right there. Despite what Coca-Cola will have you believe, penguins and polar bears do not live in the same part of the world. Penguins are actually found in the South Pole, in the Antarctic. But up north we got smaller black and white birds. No one? Puffins, thank you very much to my trainers. Yes, puffins are found up there as well. We got walruses, we got seals, lots of different types of whales. We've also got people. People live in the Arctic. The lives of people and the lives of belugas are shaped by the extreme Arctic environment that they're found in. Now, if I were to say an extreme Arctic environment, you'd probably think of cold, ice, snow, wind, all great words to describe that ecosystem. So if I were to go up north, I would need the right equipment to do it, and I'd probably bring a jacket. So these belugas, you can call me crazy, but they don't have jackets around their bodies, do they? No. They have something else, though. As their adults spit in the water, you can see it jiggling around them. What's that called?
Blubber.
Blubber. That's right. 40 to 50% of an adult beluga's body is made up of blubber. If you're like me and you're not good with numbers, it's like being wrapped in a mattress worth of fat at all times. Needless to say, it's quite a bit of blubber. So obviously these animals have well adapted to life in the Arctic, and I said people have as well. 85% of the human populations in the Arctic are Inuit, and Inuit have been living there for a whopping 5,000 years. 5,000 years. I can imagine living in the Arctic Circle for that long, but they have done it, and they've done it by living almost completely off of the land. Belugas are a fine example of that. A lot of the essential vitamins and nutrients that you and I get from our daily fruits and vegetables is the equivalent that people up north might get when they consume the meat on a beluga's body. So if you do get a chance to see one of our belugas, maybe Aurora in the center, showing her body, yeah, that's a lot of meat around that body. So you can imagine how long one beluga might sustain a community, which is very, very important, particularly because there are several communities up north which get a fresh shipment of food a whopping 1 time a year. 1 fresh shipment of food a year. I go to the grocery store 3, maybe 4 times a week, sometimes more if my wife is mad at me. But the point is, I can't possibly imagine having so little food. So these belugas are a huge part of it. Now, what's really cool about these animals and the hunting process up there is not only do they consume the meat, but they also use the body after the consumption is done. So things like the skin make shoelaces and other household items. This is a small example of the many things you can do with the remains of a beluga. Alright, so obviously they're very important in the Arctic Circle. Now I'm curious, is anyone visiting from the Arctic today? Anyone? We do get people visiting from up north, but usually not so much. Alright, fair enough. If you're not from the Arctic, don't worry, this section is still relevant to you. Every time you folks use energy, you're actually shaping the Arctic ecosystem. Whenever you turn on the light, you drive a car, you plug in your cell phone, you do your laundry, carbon dioxide goes up into the atmosphere and basically gets stuck in the atmospheric layer. Now, carbon is a natural forming gas in the atmosphere, but too much of it is bad, like too much of any good thing is bad for you. So basically the carbon builds up in the atmosphere, wrapping our planet in a great big carbon blanket. Now anyone who's worn a blanket can tell you that your body temperature is going to shift, and the same goes for our planet. So as that blanket is wrapping itself around the planet, we're finding that Arctic ice is melting and freezing at different times in the year. Now a lot of people come to me and they say, well David, there's still ice in the Arctic, it can't be all that bad. Well, hear me out, because that ice is the base of the Arctic food chain. On the surface of the ice grows sea ice algae, plant-like organisms which are going to feed invertebrate animals, amphipods, isopods, sea slugs, sea worms, hundreds upon hundreds of others. And they're going to feed fish populations, and large whales, and walruses, and seals, and people rely on that fish as a form of food. So if ice continues to shift and change at the rate that it is, the algae is actually going to start to disappear more and more, and the entire Arctic food chain would actually collapse. The Arctic as we know it would be forever changed. So we've established energy consumption is one of the leading causes of climate change, but it's also fair to say that northern communities like the ones we've been talking about do not consume that much energy. It's mostly big cities that do that. So, pop geography quiz. What are Canada's two most populated cities? Canada's giving you the answer, but I don't think anyone speaks Beluga. No one knows?
Toronto and Montreal.
Toronto is one. Thank you for participating. Montreal is number two. Thank you again, sir. Thank you. I don't know what to do without you. All right. Toronto, Montreal, Canada's two most populated cities. Anyone visiting from those areas today? Yes, in the back, over there. Fabulous. So people from the surrounding areas, you live close to belugas. Did you know that? Yes, you did. All right. There's about 1,000 belugas that live in the St. Lawrence River. You folks don't consume belugas for sustenance? Not so much? No? All right, fair enough. But there are several people in that area which do rely on those belugas economically. Several whale-watching companies do go out into the St. Lawrence to catch a glimpse of them. If they're lucky, they see this. Oh, that was really impressive. But usually, they might see this. No, but usually they're going to see what you're seeing in the center there. Look at Aurora go! How exciting!
She's having a nap.
It doesn't look very exciting for us, but that's a huge research tool. On her back, you can see that dorsal ridge, that bumpy part right there. It's mostly cartilage. By taking pictures of the dorsal ridge, we can identify individual belugas, we can track populations, we can track groups, and we can predict trends. That's a great conservation and research tool for us in the open field. Now, we did talk about climate change as being a human-induced problem for belugas in that ecosystem in the Arctic, but in the St. Lawrence, you might be looking at different problems. What man-made challenges might they be facing there? Any ideas? Shipping, yeah, is one. What's the other one I'm looking for? No, whaling, not a bad guess though. No? Pollution. Chemical pollution is what I'm looking at. So let's start with that one. I'm from Ontario. I can attest to this. People from Ontario, maybe from Detroit, you can tell me as well. Great Lakes, dirty or clean? Dirty! Yes, getting better, but dirty nonetheless. And a lot of the chemicals and toxins found in the Great Lake Basin do work their way up into the St. Lawrence, right into the homes of these belugas. Now, we do know through blubber and through tissue sampling that these belugas actually have seen an increase in toxin levels in their bodies. As you see one of our belugas heading to the back part of the habitat. Very nice. Then there's a lot of blubber to spare, so they can spare a little bit so that we can test it. Now, there was a point where belugas were dying in the ocean and then coming back and being washed up in that area, and we're actually having to be handled the same way as we dispose of toxic waste. That's how high those toxin levels were. Now, we have seen some positive trends of late. Nowhere near
that one's got his tail out.
Definitely is getting better. The second thing we talked about was shipping, noise pollution, and we want to talk about that very specifically because it falls into a very important research project that we're a part of here at the Vancouver Aquarium.
Oh my God.
Before we do a bit of natural history, belugas do migrate to shallow waters to give birth to their young. You did see Aurora was headed to the back part of the habitat earlier. She's very comfortable in that shallow water because as a mother she would give birth to a calf in something very similar. Now, because the water is so shallow and so active, it becomes dark and murky as sand gets stirred up, which is why a young beluga is born a dark gray coloration. So because they're born that dark color, they can kind of blend in with the dark, murky underwater environment. Now, the other thing to note is that belugas are highly vocal and highly social animals. Early explorers referred to them as the canaries of the sea. They do make a wide variety of calls, which we at the Vancouver Aquarium are sometimes lucky enough to bear witness to. Not always. There's Keela. Oh, she's... Wait for it. I think it's coming up front. This is one of my favorite things. Wait for it. Trust me, it's awesome. Wait for it. Oh, beautiful.
Oh, that bird. Gimme.
Alright, some great sounds coming out of our belugas. Now getting to listen to all of those sounds has a... I get the feeling like somebody doesn't want you to talk. I'm not sure if it's the trainers or the belugas. I think it's the trainers that want you to talk. Come on, guys. Okay, so being able to listen to these sounds, we've been able to isolate a lot of specific ones. Mainly one known as a contact call. Now, a contact call is a unique call that exists between a calf and her mother, and we've been able to isolate a few mother-calf pairs in our time here at the aquarium. And we can listen for those unique calls. They're kind of signaling devices to make sure they don't lose track of each other. So parents, you lose your kid in the mall and you're like, Stephanie, where are you? And Stephanie's like, I'm by the disco rack, bring your wallet. And you're like, okay, I'm on my way. It's kind of the same thing, except it's probably costing them less money. Thank you, one person, whoever it was, I appreciate it. So we're hoping to go out into the open field and listen for those contact calls. If we can hear them, we can find areas where beluga calving and beluga rearing is happening, and we can section them off to make sure that excessive noise pollution coming from boat traffic and oil drilling is not going to drown out those essential vocalizations, which are so very important to the proper development of young belugas. Now, this kind of research, this kind of conservation effort is only possible thanks to the incredible human beings that work in this facility, mainly me. Without me, folks, this kind of work simply can't. Someone's chuckling. You're chuckling, sir. He doesn't believe me. It's okay. I don't even believe me. It's fair enough. It is our trainers that work tirelessly, day in, day out, 365 days a year, including Christmas Day, to be with these animals. I think it's a great opportunity to hand it off to Kristen. As somebody who works so closely with these animals, tell us, what is it like to work with Aurora?
Sure, David. Hey, everyone, I'm over here giving you a wave so you can see where my voice is coming from. Now, working with marine mammals has always been something that I've wanted to do. Today, I am working with Aurora, and I've been fortunate enough to build a strong relationship with her. Our number one priority whenever working with the belugas is, of course, their health care. And with our trusting relationships, we are able to better care for them using voluntary medical behaviors known as animal husbandry. For example, I can actually ask Aurora to open up her mouth. That way I can take a good look at her teeth, her tongue, even her gums, and make sure that she is looking healthy. Now, our relationships with the belugas is also what enables us to participate in meaningful research to better help protect these incredible animals. Back to you, David.
Thank you very much for that, Chris. I don't know if I want to stick my face right in a beluga's mouth. It might smell a little bit. I don't know. Yes? No? Not so much. All right. Well, folks, being able to be here each and every day, I know I feel lucky to see these animals so up close and personal, even just through the glass. I do feel lucky. I'm reminded the first time that I saw belugas, I was about 4 or 5 years old at Marineland in Ontario, and I remember seeing them and turning to my mom and saying, Mom, the belugas are smiling at me, at which point my mom said, no, patted me on the head and thought, what have I done? No, they're not smiling at you, this is the structure of their face. But joke's on my mother, because these belugas smile at me even now, which is pretty exciting. But most importantly, I'm reminded each and every day that they have an incredible ability to adapt to an ever-changing environment. The unfortunate reality is they might not be able to adapt fast enough as global climate change is having a drastic impact on their home ecosystem. Now, I know it's common practice these days to implement small changes in our life to help these animals. Things like unplugging cell phone chargers when you're not using them, washing your clothes in cold water, maybe riding your bike today to work one day a week. But I want you to think of bigger changes. I want you to think of grandiose changes. I want you to think of, dare I say, some beluga-sized changes to help these animals. Composting programs, carpooling programs, riding your bike every day, reducing, reusing, before recycling, as recycling should be your last option. But most importantly, folks, I want you to remember your life is intimately connected with these amazing animals. Now, you know what? My splash zones, they're all getting wet, it looks like. So anyone remotely in the splash zone, there's more coming, wait for it. I think we're gonna...
Here it comes.
Oh, there's another one! And folks, this is as good a time as any, and thank you on behalf of myself, our 4 amazing trainers, Phil, Indy, Chris,
oh, everybody's leaving.
Have yourselves a great day.